Hello?
Mrs. Stern?
Yes.
Hi, this is Bob Keeler at Newsday, New York.
Yeah.
I'm in the process of trying to write a piece for a magazine of September 11th. I'm the editor of the magazine, but I'm also writing a piece for that issue on Joe McGinnis's book about Jeffrey MacDonald.
Oh, yeah.
I've been writing about that for a long time, for about 10 years, as a matter of fact.
Have you really?
Yeah. And the reason I'm calling is that, you are mentioned in the book, although, of course, she does not use your name, and I wouldn't want to use your name either. But,
how am I mentioned?
well, shall I read it to you?
Yes. Tell me what page. I just got the book.
Oh, you did? Well, I don't know what page it's on in the actual book, but Joe sent it to you or what?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm just going by the galleys, so let me read you from the galleys here.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay. I also learned that later. This is page 704 of the galleys, so it would probably be somewhat earlier in the actual book because they condensed it a little bit. Okay.
Right.
I also learned that later that summer, not long after MacDonald had taken up residence in Huntington Beach, he received a visit from a close friend of his mother's, a woman he had known since childhood. She brought with her her 10-year-old son. During the course of the visit, which extended over a period of weeks, Jeffrey MacDonald became sexually intimate with his mother's friend. He himself had told me about this during one of my visits to him at Terminal Island. Later, in another part of the country, I located the woman and she confirmed that the story was true, though she was a bit chagrined that he had chosen to make me aware of it. I asked her what had caused her to terminate the relationship, expecting her to say either that finally the impropriety of the situation had started to bother her, or simply that summer was ending and it was time to go home. Instead, she said she had left abruptly before she had planned to, because of two incidents involving her 10-year-old son. The first, she said, occurred when MacDonald, angered by the boy's misbehavior inside his apartment, had carried him outside and dangled him by the feet over the edge of the dock, threatening to drop him headfirst into the water. The second incident, the woman said, had occurred later in the summer when she, Jeff, and her son were out for a cruise on his boat. Again, the boy had done something to anger MacDonald. This time, the woman said, MacDonald had grabbed the boy and had told him, in an even more furious and more threatening tone, that upon returning to shore, he was going to take the boy's head and hold it over the front of the boat and crush his skull against the dock. Eventually, I spoke to the boy, now a young adult attending an Ivy League college, about his recollection of these incidents. You have to understand, he said, my parents were divorced, and when I was growing up, I hardly ever saw my father. So Jeff was not just like a friend or even a big brother. Jeff was God to me at that point. In that context, he said, the first incident had not been unduly alarming, perhaps just a form of roughhousing that had gone a little too far. But the second episode, the scene on the boat, he said, I remember with real terror to this day. He could not recall what in particular he had done to so anger MacDonald, but he came at me yelling, and I remember kind of a fire in his eyes. It really, really was scary. I didn't know what he was going to do. In fact, what he did do was throw me in the water, but he threw me off the side of the boat while it was moving, and I can remember actually feeling relieved that he hadn't done anything more. But I will never forget it. I will never forget the look in his eyes. You know, maybe as a kid you perceive things more directly in a way than you do as an adult, but ever since that moment on the boat, I believe that he must have been guilty, just from seeing that kind of fire in his eyes, and I did not want to stay around him anymore. I was very frightened, and I told my mother I wanted to go home right away, and we did. And that I guess that's at the end of chapter 3 of the last section of the book. So if you look for chapter 4 in the last section of the book, you'll find that just before that, at the very end of chapter 3. In any case, I just wanted to talk to you since I'm writing. The piece is basically written, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit. Obviously, I wouldn't use your name any more than Joe did in the book, because first of all, it wouldn't be fair, and secondly, it would be libelous.
I'd appreciate it.
But I wonder if you can tell me, first of all, did those things occur the way he wrote them in the book?
Yes, they did. The first incident was more in jest.
Yeah.
It was like was not listening, and it was spoiled, and it was kind of dangling. Well, I was sitting in the room saying, listen, would you like me to drop you? None of us were terribly alarmed about that.
Yeah, right.
I didn't particularly like it as a doting mother.
Yeah.
But I wasn't unduly alarmed. Obviously, I stayed.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how about the second one?
The second one, I didn't like at all. I didn't realize my son was so frightened. We never discussed it after the incident. We did go home within a day or two.
I see.
We never discussed it. I just realized that he was getting on his nerves. It was time to go.
Yeah.
I didn't feel he was a killer. I didn't have any of those feelings about it. But I wasn't exactly an impartial observer at that point, you know?
Yeah.
But I had felt that we had outworn our welcome set.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now I have talked to my son about it since, because he was called directly at the college, and when he confirmed that he was very frightened by it.
Yeah. Oh, you talked to your son since?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. But you didn't realize at the time how frightened he was?
No. And when we got back, like, I didn't say, he just said, let's go home. It was the end of August.
Yeah.
And I said, I think you're right. You know, something to that effect. I obviously don't remember that many years ago, but it was like, I think so too. It's time to go.
Okay. But you didn't, you remember feeling miffed by all this, but
I was upset about the last incident. It wasn't as much jest as the first one.
Yeah.
You know?
I see. Okay. So, but that didn't necessarily convince you that Jeff was a killer.
Not me, no. But as I say, I was enamored of him. At the time, I thought he was wonderful. He had been very sweet to all of us.
Right.
You know, and
yeah. Okay. How do you feel about Jeff now?
It's funny. When I talked to Mr. McGinnis, my daughter kept saying to him, "Do you think Jeff is guilty?"
Yeah.
And he kept saying, "I want him to be innocent," and I think that's how I feel. I want him to be innocent.
Yeah.
I liked him. I just started to read the book a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Just arrived.
Oh, I see.
And there's obviously much more than I ever realized.
Yeah. I mean, in the book.
Yeah.
Already? How far have you read along?
I mean, I just flipping through it.
Yeah, right.
You know, and I just realized that he has tendency to be everything to everybody, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I take it your husband still isn't too terribly fond of him as a result.
That's right. I'm fond of my husband, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
We get along very well.
Okay.
But he's not fond of him, no.
Okay. But just to summarize, you were upset by this, but it didn't necessarily convince you that Jeffrey was a killer, although you say that your objectivity may have been somewhat biased at the time.
Exactly.
But as far as what I just read you from the book, that sounds like an accurate representation of what you told Joe when you talked to him?
Yes.
Okay. And did Jeffrey's private eye called you up since then?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Because Jeffrey, you know, I went down to see Jeffrey last week or so ago in Texas. I spent a few hours with him in the prison, and he was sort of laughing at the whole thing, saying that it says it's not true, and he says it's not true. But I guess the truth is that it's somewhere between you saying it's not true and Joe's.
I'm saying that the two incidents happened, that I didn't think it made a killer out of him, and I wasn't terrified.
Okay.
And I
right.
You know, and I didn't get frightened and think, my God. I just thought, like you would if you're in somebody's house and they give you a very unpleasant answer, you think, oh my God, we've been here 5 days, it's time to go home.
Yeah,
It really was not more than that. Apparently my son was a bit more alarmed by it.
Yeah, okay.